Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. Thanks for joining today's webinar session. So we are doing a series of webinars around building and implementing the certification strategies for your customers and partners so that they better understand about your products and have a better understanding of the new technical skills around your product. These webinars are for any companies. Take an example of a high-tech company. So if you're a software company, then your partners and customers, primarily you care about two big aspects from the training and education perspective: their initial onboarding and the ongoing education and training. So at some point in your evolution, naturally you would like to have your customers and partners not only trained, but also certified with the current version of your software. There's a validity of that certification that will help you. There may be need for setting up a recertification process. You would like to have the digital credential strategy. So we are going to conduct a series of webinars over the next 2 weeks period and cover these topics. Today's focus is more on designing and building the online certification program for your customers and partners. My name is Manish Gupta, and I'm going to be your moderator today. I'm joined here by my two expert colleagues, Brian Rush and Ajay Upadhyay, who will be presenting today's session. So a quick housekeeping. So if you have any questions during the call, you can feel free to post them in the question box of your GoToWebinar panel, or you can always reach out to us through the university.edubrite.com. That's the users community there. And we'll be happy to answer your questions. So with this, I'm going to hand it over to Brian.
Thank you, Manish. As Manish mentioned just recently, the upcoming series of webinars starting today, and then next week we have digital credentialing, with the following week advanced tips for creating online certifications for high-tech companies. In today's webinar, we're going to be talking about identifying target audiences, going through the certification process, identifying the certification lifecycle, content strategy, using training labs, exam strategy, and leaderboards. So the other ones, you can see for yourself here what's coming up, and we'll also have this slide towards the end of the deck where you'll be able to see these again. So the candidates that we're talking about today are primarily our channel partners and technical specialists. A channel partner is a decentralized sales force that provides services or sells products on behalf of a software or hardware vendor. Partners need to be aware of the changes happening within the industry and be able to react accordingly. And with their recurring revenue models, partners will need to not only make sales, but also provide a superior support and customer experience for our end customers. And with technical specialists, these are individuals who may work for a company, may work for themselves. They could be partners as well, but the channel partners is referring mostly to sales specializations or sales certifications, whereas these are more technical certifications, such as software or networking or database management, things like that. That's more on the technical side. So let's talk about partners first. The channel partners certification is crucial to the success of business, as they need to be knowledgeable about the product, its differentiators from the competition, and to be able to stay up to date on the latest features and changes, and demonstrate their selling techniques such as objection handling and storytelling. The number of certified sales partners in certain combinations of levels is an important component of partner tier qualification, along with other criteria such as sales revenue. The certification plays a large role in not only meeting the immediate qualification criteria to qualify for the tiers, but also in enabling the sales team for additional growth in other metrics. In either case, in sales or technical specializations, there's tracks for different roles. In the case of the channel partner certifications, there might be a pre-sales person or a sales engineer or post-sales implementation specialists. And then in the technical certification, there might be somebody more related to the various software pieces, or maybe a technical spec on the programming aspect or the database aspect of it, or the network. So those are the various tracks. Oftentimes there's 3 levels per track. Could be more, could be less, but this is just an example here. The certification life cycle is often perpetual, and that's calendar based, so it expires after a prescribed time period. But in other cases, it might be tied to specific products and iterate with the product releases. In either case, there may be periodic training and an online maintenance exam to stay current, even prior to expiration of your certification. We will cover this in depth in the upcoming Advanced Tips webinar in 2 weeks. So in the certification process, this could be a very simple one like this one, whereby the learner or the candidate chooses the role and the level, and if they meet their prerequisites, moves on to register, otherwise has to take some training first, and then completes the prescribed training within the certification, and then takes an exam. Hopefully it's passed and their certification is awarded. So that's the happy path, best case scenario kind of scenario path here. But what if they have a pretest? Sometimes there's a pretest in some of the more low stakes assessments for not as important certifications, in which if you take the pretest, you may not have to complete the prescribed training. So the certification is awarded immediately, and then that's the end of it, and we all go home. Otherwise, they have to complete the prescribed training, just like in the last scenario, and then take the exam. The exam may or may not be the same as the pretest. Hopefully it's different than that one, if not at least randomized questions or pulled from a different pool so as not to present the same questions. And then if that one is passed, then again, certification awarded, and that's the end of it. However, if they have failed and there's attempts remaining, they can take the exam. If there are no attempts remaining, then that's a business process decision that has to be made, so that if there are no more attempts and they bottom out here, then they might be alerted to their manager by way of a notification in the system or manually, or dropped from the system, whatever the decision is on a business case rule. And then another scenario is if they've not passed, that the exam shows them the appropriate content based on the information that they missed within the exam, and there's a remediation process. Oftentimes, companies will have the learner wait for a month so that they have ample time to review and not necessarily take the exam too soon. Could be set up to a week, or it could be set up to 2 months, whatever. This is just an example here. So that's the certification process, and that's how it ends. But it doesn't really end. So it starts again. Once the certification is awarded, like I said earlier, there may be a maintenance exam in which they have to stay current with the next release, or maybe there's a delta that's happened recently. So likewise, if they get to a point within the duration of the certification and it's getting anywhere near expiring, or if there is a new iteration of a new release, there could be a need for recertification, in which case they're recertifying on the same level, but they're also likely to want to level up to the next certification level as well. So there's a whole new certification process. In both these cases, the certification is awarded again, and then the life cycle starts all over again. In the case of technical certifications and accreditations, they often go beyond the knowledge assessment and require incorporating virtual or physical training labs to provide the learner customized real-world or virtual environments in which to learn the necessary skills and then be able to demonstrate their proficiency with practical assessments. In the case of the instructor-led training, the instructor may be able to look over their shoulder virtually and see their screen and help them with any of the self-paced training and or exercises. In the case of an assessment, the virtual environment provides the learner a way to do the practical exam and walk through a set of steps that's required of them in order to pass this certification exam beyond the knowledge assessment that they've taken. LMSs, a lot of them may integrate with some of the virtual training labs out there, and perhaps you can launch a virtual environment and have it spin up from a lesson launch, and then upon completion of that and or the exam, you can get your results pushed back to the learning management system. The advantages of certifications for the individual or partner are there are better opportunities. For the individual, it might be a better job opportunity with the certification and open badge on their resume and LinkedIn. Whereas for sales, it'd be better leads. They could have, in both cases, they could have early access to beta releases and roadmap information or elevated support levels. And then discounts provide partners with negotiating leverage. For the company, it's advantageous to have increased sales, and then with the evangelistic loyalty and advocacy that comes from having trained all your staff in the certification and all the partners, it's beneficial for everybody in that sense as well. From a content strategy perspective, granularity is having the lowest level possible of training without being standalone, while still being standalone, excuse me. And reuse is encouraged by having the reusable learning objects, for example, used within courses throughout the program. So not having to replicate training. It could be a huge benefit to have this reuse as components in multiple courses. And then given the ever-changing nature of sales and marketing campaigns, sales training certification content can change rapidly. Likewise with technical training, even between releases, the short shelf life of training content can be problematic. Branding changes, while less frequent, require content update throughout the entire curriculum. So ease of update should be consideration for your content strategy. For example, if it's wrapped in SCORM files, you'll have to locate the source files and its authoring program to update each one and then republish it and upload it again to the LMS. So consider alternatives such as a CMS or content repository pictured here, where you can change content once at a master level and then have it propagate to all the content derived from it. From a workflow perspective, if the product is release-based, work in parallel with the engineering team and stay abreast of upcoming changes to avoid a mad rush at go live with the gold master. An exam is a summative assessment which evaluates whether a learner has satisfactorily met a prescribed body of knowledge or skills with a specific level of expertise. The content validity and reliability of the exam is crucial to the reputation of the certification. Depending on the stakes, a range of strategies can be used to ensure the integrity of the assessment outcomes. One of these is the exam delivery method. Assessment security can increase in tandem with the height of the stakes for the assessment and the certification. A SCORM assessment, for example, may be fine for a low-stakes certification, while a high-stakes exam may warrant the use of an authorized training center. Another related issue is identification validation, knowing who's taking the tests and really going through the work is important for the test centers and virtual proctoring, whereas SCORM maybe not so much. But there are ways within some LMSs to be able to validate your identification as well. Authoring high quality assessment questions is always important, but the rigor of the exam is especially so in higher stakes certifications. The SME, beg your pardon, question integrity has to do with proper grammar, appropriate question types, and plausible distractors. All of these are indicators to the learner or the candidate that this is a serious exam and this is very high integrity. For unique question presentation, adequate question sample, randomized questions from a bank or a pool, and having shuffled choices for our multiple choice and multiple select questions. All of these are very important so as not to present the same question more than one time. This is also important. Likewise, for content review, the subject matter expert needs to ensure that the exam assesses on all facets of the required job tasks relevant to the certification. In a high stakes assessment, a professional psychometrician can validate the assessment for balance and validity and provide guidance on how to improve the wording of the questions and choices and remove any vagaries or potential for misinterpretation. Additionally, he or she will determine whether the scores earned are dependable measures of the learner's knowledge by analyzing the resulting statistics. Leaderboards can increase engagement by providing healthy competition and a summary of completion statistics. So in the case of this particular leaderboard here, you're seeing a summary of credits in reverse order. And so you're also seeing the statistics that go along with that. Incentivizing certification completion within an aggregate leaderboard can help partner resources become certified and qualify for higher tiers sooner. With that, I'm going to pass it over to AJ, and he's going to go through a demonstration here.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So let me start by just presenting a scenario, a demo scenario, and then we'll walk through the demo setup in EduBrite LMS. So just to summarize the demo scenario, I'm going to just take a step back and discuss few things that you should consider when you plan to offer a certification. So before you offer certification, you should definitely consider offering the training programs that are necessary for the learners to prepare for that certification. And learners could be your partners, your customers, or anybody. But unless they are trained, there's no point in offering certification. So, and for the training part, you can definitely use a LMS to offer online or classroom-based training, which can be managed in LMS as well. And these trainings can be offered as a self-paced program, instructor-led, virtual instructor-led, or any combination of it, which is blended delivery method. These training content you should definitely create as a modular content and divide it in multiple courses. Depending on the kind of product or platform you are offering, you may be able to divide it, the content, by roles or by specific topics or subject areas of your product or platform. So any view can be used, any of these strategies can be used to divide it into multiple courses. And even the skill level can be also another option, that you may offer, say, level 1 training program, level 2 and level 3 training programs, depending on the kind of roles you're offering, roles relevant for your particular product training. You should consider recognizing the learning achievements of the learners, which could be done either by issuing badges, which the learners can see on their profile and share elsewhere on their public profile, such as LinkedIn. And also, while the users are going through the training program, you should have appropriate messaging at relevant places to guide them to the related certifications. So if they have, say, for example, done all the things necessary for a particular certification, system should be configured in a way to guide them to take such certification, or tell them that now they are eligible for this certification. Now, depending on the stake of the certification, you may be able to use a single system, or you may have to have a different system that is used for delivery of certification. Especially if you are offering high stake certification, then you might want to utilize a proctored environment for the delivery of the certification, in which you might want to have, like, service of another exam service delivery provider who offers physical proctoring in a classroom environment. So with these background, I'm going to just describe our demo scenario that we have set up in for today's session. So we've created a bundle of training program and another bundle of certification. So the bundle of training program consists of two components, product training 1 and product training 2. And these two components can be considered as two different levels of your product or platform, or it could be by topics. Like, one particular program is covering, say, topic 1 through 5, and another is covering topic 6 through 10. So based on that, you can divide these into two different programs here. That's what we have considered. Any strategy, depending on your need, you can take. And the idea is to offer you a blueprint which can be used to create any kind of learning or certification program. Each of these product training 1 and 2 consists of two courses each, C1, C2 in the first one, and C3, C4 in the next one. Again, the number of courses can be completely dependent on your choice of dividing at what granularity you want to divide, and the subject matter experts can be consulted to come up with the appropriate number of courses within each. We have also represented a prerequisite relationship. So normally in a learning kind of scenario, you do want to give learners some guidance about if they are expected to learn something before they can go to learn something else. So like, product training 2, here we are representing to be an advanced level. So training 1 has to be completed, and that can be established through a prerequisite relationship in the LMS. So once you have built these training programs, then you can offer or start building the product certifications. So for certification also, we are just going to demonstrate a very simple scenario of product certification, which consists of 3 different options to get certified. And why these options should be considered, we'll go in detail in session 2 of this particular webinar series, where we will discuss advanced certification. But just to give you a high level idea, these options can be utilized by a, for example, first time learner who is getting certified on your product, or it can be also used for upgrades or recertification scenario. An example could be your platform might be at, say, version 1 right now, and somebody can get certified in that version 1, but later you might offer, say, version 1.1 or version 2. And then you might want to just give a upgrade path for somebody to get certified on version 2. So in that case, they might not go through everything which a new person should go through for taking the certification for that version, but rather they can just take an upgrade exam to get certified on that particular version. So that's what basically the idea of multiple options should be considered when you're actually building the blueprint for your certification. So in this case, we have option 1 as the primary option, because option 2 and 3 are not yet built. We'll discuss it in the next session. And that option 1 consists of 2 exams, product exam 1 and 2. And through the relationship available in the system, in the LMS, we have used some common metadata to relate the appropriate training to each certification exam. And this relationship can be used by the product to give the relevant guidance to the user. When they are on, say, product training level 1, they can be guided that this actually training level 1 training is actually related to the exam 1, and likewise training 2 is related to exam 2. And for each of the training programs, we have also represented issuing badges, which is in line with recognizing the learner's achievement. So if you are not recognizing their achievement, then it might not be so much interesting for them to actually take your training. They might directly go and start certification. But if there are certain incentives associated with them completing the training, besides becoming eligible for certification, you might have a better chance of people going through the training and not spending multiple attempts on the certification. So that's the idea behind recognizing their learning achievements. And of course, for the certification also, you should consider recognizing their certification through some badging strategy, which they can share with on their public profiles. So with this, let me go into the product and walk you through with the setup, and also run a scenario from the learner's perspective, show you everything end to end. So this is a very simple plain vanilla site of EduBrite LMS, and this is the product catalog where we are showing a bundle, which is the product training bundle and a product certification bundle. So these are the two bundles we had represented on the slide. And inside each bundle, we have two different programs here. So in the training, we have training 1 and training 2, which is basically what was shown in the slide. And in each of these programs, we have two different courses, course 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 on the second one. So that's also similar to the setup shown on the slide. And likewise, on the certification, the structure is that the bundle consists of three different options. The first option is what we have built and we are showing in this session. And this option basically consists of two courses, two exam courses, which the users can take. And of course, inside each of these courses, you will have the actual online test, or it could be any kind of delivery. It could be even launching of an external lab environment, which can be integrated for any kind of hands-on simulation or hands-on practice. So this is a quick setup. Now let me also describe some of the other associated thing related to the setup itself. So we have defined our metadata taxonomy, which basically allows me to create subject tree as per my own subject requirements about my product and platform. So you can build this kind of taxonomy of topics, and these could be hierarchical also. We have just, for simplicity, just created two topics here. And then we have defined three skill levels: beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And then the kind of roles that are targeted in this demo is a developer or consultant. So this can also be as per your requirement. You can configure these things upfront. And then you will basically meta tag each learning component, which could be course or program bundle, with these meta tags, so that the system can derive the relations among, it can derive what certification is related to a particular training. So let me also describe you a little bit about how the courses are set up here. So the complexity of the course itself is not that important here for discussion. So we are just going to show the basic structure and the relevant part of it. So each course is pretty simple and follows the same blueprint. Each training course has the same identical blueprint, which has basically a single lesson with very simple PDF. And these lessons are configured as mandatory. And we are also requiring user to view all the slides of this particular presentation. Depending on your need, you may have, say, multiple lessons here, and all of them or some of them may be required. In addition, you may have some SCORM modules or some knowledge check quizzes. Those can also be added here as per the requirement. Now the course itself is tagged with the metadata. So let me just Sure. So this particular course is tagged with topic 1 and beginner level, and none of the skills are selected here, but as needed you can target this particular course for either developer or consultant. And then for the course itself, we have set 1 credit point so that the learner will, once they complete it, they will get 1 training credit or a learning credit towards their completion. And this can also drive their position in the leaderboard. So sum of all training credits will be what is going to be used by the system to show the ranked leaderboard. So these are some of the essential setup stuff. Now, identical setup is followed for the other 3 training courses. Now, let me also show you the detail about one specific exam course. So the exam course, instead of having a lesson, it has basically a test. And this test is created here in the LMS itself, and very simple test, but the system supports any kind of complex assessment also, including adaptive testing with branching and different decision options. So here we are using just a very simple representative question types, such like multiple choice and multiple select options, and no randomization, nothing, but of course all of those options you can use as per your requirement. Each of the test is configured with passing score. So those are some of the important things you should consider when you're building the exam for certification, and also consider them to have some finite time rather than giving indefinite duration to take the test. And the exam itself, the test itself inside the course is made mandatory. So if this particular course gets, if somebody passes this particular test, then the whole course will be marked complete. But in your case, depending on the situation, you may have, say, multiple tests added here in a given exam course, which might check the learning or the familiarity about specific topics of your product or platform. So this is pretty much it. And then if you go to the course properties, we have set up this particular course with 10 credits. So just to give a higher weightage to the certification passing than taking a learning course. So the learning course was configured with 1 credit and the certification course is configured with 10 credit. So if you directly take certification, you might rank higher in the leaderboard, which will aggregate your points from both type of courses. In addition, the course metadata is configured with identical equivalent learning related courses metadata. So we have tagged it with topic 1 and beginner level, skill level. So these are the two types of courses configured. And then if we go to the programs, this particular, so we have multiple programs created here. Let's start looking into the training program first. So this program bundle consists of 2 different programs or components. One of it has 2 courses, 1 and 2, and the second one has 3 and 4. So each one has 2 courses each. And at this bundle level, we have set up the minimum credit. So if you get the 4 credits, then you will be awarded this whole training bundle. So the system will recognize that yes, you have done all necessary training which you are expected to, but you can have the minimum credit less than the total credit. So in this particular case, there are 4 courses, each with 1 credit. So the total credits possible which the learners can get is 4, and we have also configured minimum requirement as 4, which means all of them needs to be completed. But depending on your requirement, you can have optional components also, and then the less minimum credit than the total credit. So this is pretty much it. And now if we go to the each component, so component 1, the training program 1 is configured with a badge, a blue badge and a green badge, like we have planned here in the slide. So this is the first one, and then if we go to the other one, this is basically configured with the green badge. And these badges you can definitely configure in the system by uploading your own images as you like. So this is pretty much like, everything about the left side of the setup. Now on the right side, let's drill down into the certification program bundle. So this program bundle consists of just three programs, but only one is built right now. So assumption is that all three are equivalent. User can finish this particular certification bundle by going through either one of these. And how this is done is basically, if we look at the first component, it has two courses. And this particular component program is configured with minimum credits 20 because each course has 10 credits each. So both courses are mandatory to finish that. And then in the bundle itself, we have configured the minimum credits as 20, which is equal to the credits you can get from option 1. So that basically makes the other two components completely optional. If you just finish the one, then none of the other two are necessary. Again, this thing is completely situational. Based on your need, you can configure it. And also this certification bundle is configured with a badge as we had represented in the deck. Now with this, let me jump to a learner's view, learner's experience, and show you how they can basically go through the training and certification in a very quick time with a very simple blueprint setup of the courses and the certification. So the learner, for example, can land on your training site, which can be fully customized, and then they can go to the catalog, look at your catalog offering. They can find the appropriate training or certification depending on what they're looking for by filtering. They can filter by the skill level or any other metadata you have configured. If there are any content, it will show up here, and also by their role. So let's go through by creating a new user account and go through this and run a cycle. So let me just go through the training bundle here. So you can look at the details here, and we have included some associated helping information so that you can guide the user to the appropriate certification if they are looking at training, and if they are looking at certification, and then you can guide them to training or vice versa. So let's go and sign in. So since this is a new user, there is no user account created yet, so I can just sign up for a user account. So once I sign up, it will take me automatically to the last catalog item I was viewing, which was product training. So if the online payment system has been integrated, they can of course purchase it, or if there are training credit option enabled and the user already has some training credit, they can use it. But right now I'm just going to bypass both and just use a free coupon code which is configured in the system to give free access to every item in the catalog. So this is just one way of enrolling. The enrollment can happen in multiple ways. This is just one possible option. So once I enroll, I can look at the product training bundle, which has basically two components, and each one has two courses each. And I can only launch the first one because the second one has prerequisite on first, and similarly the second program is dependent on the first program. So that's the kind of thing you can see system will start telling you. So as a user, I can go and launch the first one. And this particular course is pretty simple, just one PowerPoint with 3 slides. So I can just go through each slide and that will complete this particular course. So once I finish, I will be prompted to go to the next course. But if I just simply open my dashboard in another tab, just wanted to show you that it will show some quick information here that I have completed 1 out of 4 courses and none of the programs yet. And now I have earned 1 credit because I just finished 1 course which had 1 credit. So it starts building my score in the scoreboard. and I will see my position appearing in the leaderboard. And this position will be dynamically changing based on the learning or the certification I am taking and the credits I'm earning through them. So I can just go to the next one and just run through the same again. So once I finish 2 courses, I have completed basically 1 program and which had these 2 courses. So I can see that I have completed 1 program and I have 2 credits. And now for this particular program, I also got a badge. So that will be shown in my badges here, the blue badge, which was configured for the first program. Now let me continue and launch the other courses. So on the dashboard also I can find everything, all the relevant contextual information that I am in 2 programs, and these are the pending courses that I need to take. So let me just go into it again. And here in this overall page of this particular product training bundle, I can see that I have finished 2, and now I can go to the third one. So this is pretty much it for the third. Now go to the next one. And now once everything is done, then for the overall training bundle, we have configured a certificate also. So I can download my certificate that I have completed all my training that are required. And on the dashboard, I can see I have earned 2 badges by taking both training programs. And of course, my position and my credit scores are changing dynamically as I'm going through it. Now, once this is done, I can, of course, go to the catalog and subscribe to the certification. Or while I'm looking at my training page, I can be given advice by the system to go to the certification and enroll in that. Again, I'm going to use the same coupon code to subscribe for this particular certification exam. So once I enroll in that particular bundle, certification bundle, then I can launch my exams. And on these exams, we have not set up any prerequisite, so I can finish them in any sequence I like. And these exams are also pretty simple configured. So we are not demonstrating the actual assessment capability of the platform here. We're just showing the overall setup part and how you can create a blueprint which you can follow with on any kind of exams or certification. So just go through quickly here. So this is pretty much the first exam. I'm done, and I can go to the next one. So now my both exams are done, which actually will allow me to, if there is any certificate download option enabled for the overall certification bundle, I can download that program certificate. And also if I go back to the dashboard, it will show me another badge which was issued when I finished the certification. And of course my position on the leaderboard has improved and my credits are also shown. So this is pretty much like a quick walkthrough of the setting up a very simple certification and learning, associated learning for any kind of high-tech company. Generally, you'll have some variation of the scenario or some complexity, but if you just try to correlate it with the features I demonstrated, you should be able to map out any kind of requirement onto this setup or extend the setup to meet that requirement. So that's pretty much it. I think I'm done with my demo.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ajay. So we have just a couple of quick questions here. We can talk about them, and feel free to post your questions onto the question box there. So the question is regarding it's a little bit related to a software company. So software companies, essentially the question is related to a single sign-on. So if their customers are already using their platform, can they single sign on to the EduBrite platform for their learning needs? And can they be brought, their roles of what is defined in their platform can be brought into EduBrite?
Oh yeah, I mean, those are pretty standard implementation tasks. So EduBrite LMS can be integrated with any third-party system by using either industry standard single sign-on option such as SAML or OAuth, or it can also be a custom integration using API. Then there are some platform with which we integrate out of the box, like Google G Suite. If you're using, so we integrate out of the box for single sign-on. We are doing single sign-on with Atlassian Suite. Any product you're using, say Confluence or Jira, so we are doing that single sign-on out of the box. Yammer, Okta, Azure, ADFS. So all these are integrated out of the box. But any other system, of course, if they follow SAML or OAuth, can be easily integrated. Or not, if none of these options apply, then API-based integration can be done.
Okay, great, thank you. And then there is another scenario, I think you touched on this a little bit about the lab environment. If there is a lab environment or external environment where somebody has to do some activities, can that be recorded in EduBrite?
Yeah, so that will be represented as one of, any lab will be represented as one of the learning activity within a course. So there will be a placeholder configured within a course. And then when you integrate that system using the credential passing mechanism of that system, or by using some kind of token mechanism, that system will be launched, either a virtual lab environment or any other system that you're using. And then passing the status back is again going to be dependent on that system's APIs and whether they provide that mechanism to send the status back to any other system using API. If not, then we also provide a CSV-based upload option or any other upload option that can be used to upload the completion status from that third-party system into EduBrite.
Okay, great. At this point of time, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'll just go back onto our conclusion slide.
Thank you, Manish. So as you could see from this demonstration, certifications play an important role in partner and customer success. There are many approaches and decisions depending on the stakes of the assessment and therefore the certification. And then when using training labs with technical certifications, the LMS integration is a very important part. And you can upload videos for role-playing and sales certifications, doing something similar to what Edu used in the blueprint there, and then use leadership boards to drive engagement. And then with that, we've got 2 more webinars coming up. Digital credentialing is happening next week at this time, 11 o'clock on Thursday as well. And then June 27th, we also have another 11 o'clock. So look for these in university.edubrite.com and sign up for these as well.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Brian. So we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming weeks. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for joining.